the aftermath of the chemo of having your immune system completely depleted was crazy. Like I remember I came in one day and your eye was swollen. And I was like, what happened? You know, is this fool fall or something? You know what I mean? And you were like, no, I like scratched my eye, and then all of a sudden, explain what because you're still you're still a little red on your eye.
Yeah,
what happened?
Still a little red. So the chemo was making me sweat like profusely. So then I took a towel and I'm rubbing my forehead because I'm laying in bed. You get one shower a day and it's a whole process. So I'm trying not to stink. You know what I'm saying? So I'm rubbing my head, and then some of the sweat got in my eye. So I'm like, bet, let me rub my eye real quick. So I just rubbed my eye, nothing crazy. But because I had no platelets, I just bruise and bleed really easily. And as soon as I took the towel off, my mom was like, bro, you messed up. And I looked in the mirror and it was just already like purple and my eye was red. And I was like, it's about to be bad. So
you do 7 days. You're in the hospital for a total of 33 days?
33 about.
And they, after you do the 7 days, you do the pre-chemo. You have to take another pill for the type of specific leukemia you had.
Right.
All this is costing a small fortune, right? And then you're discharged.
True.
So now you are going home. You're here now, right? So you've been here for what, about
a week or so? Week and a half.
So now what is the process? Like, what is happening? Oh, hold on. Before we get into what's happening, tell us about the bone marrow transplants, because that's a part that I don't think people understand. Not the bone marrow, just the bone marrow tests.
Biopsies, yeah.
The biopsies. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So those are trash. So basically within leukemia, they got to do a bunch of bone marrow biopsies to tell basically if your bone marrow is still producing these white blood cells, if you have any in your bone marrow still, things like that. So they have to do these every so often. So I had one right when I got there. I had one 2 weeks before I left, and I had one right when I left. Or I had one last Friday. But yeah, these things. So basically, they gotta drill into your bone marrow. It's like a big thing. They wind it up. Takes like 15 minutes, and they're drilling into your bone marrow, and they gotta pull out a sample.
Your back.
In your back, like basically, it's on your pelvis, but it's right in between your butt and your lower back.
Oh,
that's the worst pain I ever felt.
They have to do that to get a more accurate gauge of your white blood cells, basically, to see how bad it is, see how much progress you made the second one, and then to see if you're good, right? Like, is that kind of idea?
So we just, it's kind of different what they're searching for every time. There's a lot of things they can look for in a bone marrow biopsy. But like this last one, we just got the result. I just got off the phone, basically. They were like, hey, by the way, you're in remission right now.
Officially.
That was a dub.
Officially in remission.
Yes, sir.
Out here making cancer your beach.
Yeah. You already know it.
That's great. So that's great news. So you're officially in remission.
True.
But you're not in the clear all the way. What's happening next?
So basically, now that I'm in remission, we kind of figured out our plan. So what we're going to do is I got to go back in 2 days, Thursday. I'll do 6 more days of chemo. And then I'll be released again, and then I'll come home and do a little bit of chemo, but I'll basically have that month off from everything. I'll just be resting. My immune system will still be low, so I'll just be chilling. And then at the end of the month, if we have a bone marrow transplant ready to go, then I'll do the bone marrow transplant and be done. If it's not ready to go, I'll do one more quick 6-day session of chemo, and then we'll do the bone marrow transplant after that. And then I'll kind of be straight, and then we're just praying it doesn't come back for a few years. So
a couple application points. One, you can't work during this season.
Yeah, not really, no.
So the homies, Zach Sparazzo, John Keith helped, created a GoFundMe.
True.
The outpouring has been amazing.
Crazy.
But just financially, there's still some need. So people can hit that GoFundMe in the description below. So they can give to that, because like the pills you took were like, weren't they like $1,500 a pill or something crazy like that?
It was the total pills was like $16,000 or something like that. So each pill was like $250 something like that. Yeah.
So people can they can give to the GoFundMe.
True.
They should, which has been amazing. The community rallying, right? Your local church, North Coast Church. The second thing is, I remember Andy Mineo posting something when his mom was in the hospital, and it was getting on a registry of potential donors, right? Like to see, because you found out your sister is not a match.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
So those of us that could potentially be a match, could potentially help, right? So it's like sending our DNA in or something like that. So are you familiar with that? Because I could link it in the description, but are you familiar with how that works?
Yeah, a little bit. So I don't know where the link or basically anything is, but yes. So it's usually pretty tough to find a bone marrow match. I got really lucky. We have like 700 matches, so we're just kind of waiting on some follow-ups to get some things. But just from someone who has leukemia, I would really encourage you, like the bone marrow transplant, you don't have to get a biopsy to do a transplant. You know, it's just like an IV, and they pull it out of you, and then they put it in someone else.
So they don't have to do the biopsy?
They don't have to do a biopsy.
Okay.
Yeah, when you donate. But I would just encourage, because it's so hard for people with leukemia, especially people that are of ethnic diversity or people that are older, things like that. It's so much harder to find a match, and you can like really be saving someone's life by just donating your whatever 2 hours it takes you to do it. And so I would really encourage that, and I think it'd be a great thing to do. I'll
link that in the description below. Now, let's switch gears because there's a lot of other things I want to talk about. Man, where should we jump in? The idea of humor, right, and comedy in this process. I had Rufat on, who's my friend from same testimony. Rufat is an atheist comedian now. You guys can go watch that video. It's really interesting. But one of the things he talked about was like the power of comedy in lighting somebody's spirit, right?
Facts.
And what I think is interesting is like we read the scriptures and we could take a lot of stuff at face value, right? So like, you know, we could look at like, let no unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, right? And we look at that, Ephesians, which I believe, right? But there's some nuance in that, right? And what I thought was hilarious was that you actually preferred the homies to keep roasting you. In the middle of the stage. Like you literally were like, this is what's going to keep me going. Right? Explain that, because that's probably going to be like, oh man, people making fun of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, explain that, because I think that's super fascinating, and I think it might change some people's paradigm.
Right. So it kind of started right before I got diagnosed, because those last couple of days were just so bad. They were so painful. I was weak. I was going through it. And it kind of like dawned on me, like, I think something is really wrong. And so when I would come home in the night and we were kind of joking about cancer, I think it was the last night before I went to the doctor, and I kind of was like, yo, look, I'm actually really kind of scared about this joint. And I was like, the thing that makes me like feel more comfortable about it or like chill out about it is when y'all tease me about it. So I was like, look, if I go tomorrow and I have cancer, I need y'all to keep making jokes. And they were like, bro, don't do that to us, all this stuff. I'm like, bro, I really need y'all. And so then, I found out I had it. I got to the ER and I sent him a voice memo. I'm like, look, man, I need the jokes, bro. I have leukemia, all this stuff. And really, that's been such a helpful tool, because I think so many people at the beginning were coming in and it was just depressing. You know, they were, man,
you're
I'm
young,
so sorry.
You're healthy,
right.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
It was just like, it was on some like, man, you still got so much to live for. And I'd be crying like, bruh, like, why y'all saying stuff like I'm not trying to die either, bruh. And so when the homies come in, they're like, look at his bald head, like all this. It just makes me feel so much better. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm going to make it through the, if not, I'm good. Like, I got the homies. It just makes me feel so good.
Yeah, I remember I made a joke that you kind of took literally, where I was like, Tanner, like this is the day before we found out. I was like, Tanner, like, bro, you can't have cancer, bro. Like, I don't have the emotional capacity to handle you going through cancer. And you found out, you got the call to go to the emergency room, and you straight like walked past me and you didn't say like anything. You know what I'm saying? Which, like, at the time, like, clearly I was joking, but I thought that was hilarious.
I had to. You know what I'm saying? I had to get to the ER. I didn't know your emotional capacity for the day, you know what I'm saying? You was in the middle of vacuuming. I was like,
I was vacuuming. Clearly, I could have handled it. You know what I'm saying? I probably just would have drove you to the hospital and like gave you a hug or something.